Mistos welcomes us to the art of becoming a witch, as he has for 3 years, almost 3 years. And he reminds us that we are here to awaken, remember, and trust 7 witch art gifts, this spectacular adventure, the deepest one we've had thus far. We are awakening, remembering, and trusting the memory of reverence and devotion. A memory that we're going to follow and have been following back in time. We started in Crete, just on the edge of the Bronze Age. We spent a glorious 2 weeks in the Neolithic, around the world, being caressed by the goddess in her countless faces and forms. Today, we're going even further back, deep memory. Eterna said, the memory of life, all life. Today, we are going into the Paleolithic, a very profound, very deep, and very black adventure. So Mistos is spreading his black wings to welcome us, to receive an ultimate gift, reverence and devotion. This is our 6th adventure, our 6th intensive, and we are walking the 6th circuit of her original, most ancient 7-circuit labyrinth. And today, we're going to go so far back in time that we touch the moment the humanity discovered the labyrinth. These are all 7 of our witch art gifts, each one more delicious than the one before. Today, we are immersing ourselves in Paleolithic caves. Today is an extraordinary day, not just because we are having such a profound adventure, but because literally in a couple of minutes, we, humanity around the entire globe, are slipping into a lunar eclipse in Pisces. I wasn't planning this, but in the middle of the night, I was awakened and ordered when I woke up to go find a picture of a lunar eclipse. And I did. That beautiful red, they're calling today the blood moon lunar eclipse. And then I opened my emails. And an astrologer, every astrologer has their own flavor, their own voice, their own focus. I'm sure, like me, you read different astrologers, maybe on Facebook, maybe emails. I hope you spend lots of time with Emma, sign up for all her events, Marcia Wade. I probably get Michael Lennox. I probably get emails from not quite a dozen astrologers. And I try to read most of them. Each one, it's like a different whisper. It activates a different, ooh, ooh. Well, today, Gray Galaxy, who is a very unusual an astrologer and very politically focused, so I like her very much. She sent a very short email with that picture. That's her picture that I stole. And I want to read it to you, not just because this is a lunar eclipse, but because we are going into the dark. We are going into the Paleolithic caves. We are leaving daylight and the surface of the earth behind for the next 2.25 hours. Listen to this. Gray Galaxy writes, a total lunar eclipse in Pisces is the flood that pulls secrets from their hiding places, the undertow that rips false shores apart. This is the sky's demand that you unclench, let go, and let yourself be carried into the ocean of endings. That's like a description of what we're doing today. The sky above ground, the sunlight, is demanding we let go, and let yourself drop, drop all the way in to underground caves where I promise you, Kathy and I have been living with this for the last month, you will be carried into an ocean of endings. Eclipses, Gray Galaxy writes, are revelations. We have heard this for years from Emma. Eclipses are revelations. But then she adds this sentence, which makes me, I don't know if I want to laugh or cry. They do not ask your permission as they strip away the veils you forgot you were wearing. Doesn't that sound like the moment we're living in right now? Eclipses are revelations, and guess what, boys and girls? They do not ask your permission as they strip away veils you forgot you were wearing. We're going to meet the Minotaur at the center of the labyrinth, and the Minotaur absolutely, positively, 100% is going to strip away veils you forgot you were wearing. Her last sentence, Pisces does not merely wash away what is broken, it dissolves the glue of denial. Man, I wish I'd read this sentence when I was going through my divorce and discovering deep soul writing. What a question to take into deep soul writing. What are my glues of denial? So listen to this last sentence again. Pisces does not merely wash away what is broken, it dissolves the glue of denial, leaving you raw, porous, and receptive to the vision beyond. Welcome, welcome to the Paleolithic, the Minotaur, and the darkness. Now above, as well as the darkness below in the caves. We must begin, as we always begin, with our remembering ceremony and this unbelievable prayer. Listen to it with the understanding of total lunar eclipse and dropping into the ancient Paleolithic caves. The prayer begins. That first tinkle before I know it's rain. That first breath before I know I'm awake. That first sip before I know what I'm tasting. That first sniff before I know I'm on fire. Take a big, deep sniff right now, because ready or not, you are on fire. That first chord of silent music, I'm not sure I hear it, can't quite catch the tune, but my heart knows it. My heart knows it by heart. I have read this to you for a couple of years, but remember this particular stanza about the chord of silent music. Kathy is going to take us into a cave in Spain where she heard the chords of silent music. That spinning moment when the clear road fades and then disappears, but my feet keep walking, I know not where. That's how everyone who discovered a cave must have felt. They keep walking and they have no idea where they are or what's around the corner. And here's the big one. That dropping moment when the floor between worlds cracks open. I stumble, I trip, I plummet, I land. Now, when I received these words on the vernal equinox 7 years ago, I had no idea that they perfectly describe. This stanza perfectly describes my personal experience in a cave, Kathy's experience in a cave, the original Paleolithic ancestors who dropped into a cave for the very first time. Listen to this one more time and hold it in your heart as you prepare for a dropping moment. That dropping moment when the floor between worlds cracks open. I stumble, I trip, I plummet, I land, and everything has changed. That moment when I know you are here, that moment when I realize you never left. It's one moment, our moment, and guess what? It's this moment. And in this moment, say this with me, I am beginning to remember what I never forgot. We have said this now. I think we started saying it in ART 4 and ART 5 and ART 6. But when you're in a cave, that your ancestors, maybe even you, painted 35,000 years ago, this sentence is going to come alive. Together in the dark, we are all beginning to remember what we never forgot. So let's bring in all those ancestors and say with me, I, whalebone, I, morning star, I, dandelion, whatever your names are, I call my intuitive, mystic, prayer artist, Murafor, oracle, and priestess shaman selves. You have no idea who your priestess shaman self is until you enter a Paleolithic cave. This is a magical, mysterious, astonishing experience. So call all those selves from the once was and the not yet into this moment and help me help us, whether you're here live with us right now or watching this a year from now. Say it. Help me remember what I never forgot. I can make you a promise. The Minotaur is going to help you help you remember things you never really forgot. So we will open her libraries. Kathy and I try to give everybody the opportunity to bring their voice into the circle. So for today, our third immersion, and if they're available, our fourth, Shoshana is going to open the Library of Fire, Alteri Air, Cassandra Earth, and Bobby Water. So, Shoshana Zephora, please unmute yourself and help us open the Library of Fire.
First, in my prayer, I call on fire. Hello, fire. Beautiful fire. Fire of light, of warmth, of alchemy. Our Lady Phoenix rising herself. Thank you for light, warmth, alchemy. Her library of fire is now open.
As we open this library, hold it in your heart, because the only way you can see in the cave is to activate her library of fire. And air.
Second, in my prayer, I call on air. Hello, air. Beautiful air. Air of breath. Air of wind, of spirit, of Mother Creation herself. Thank you for breath, wind, spirit. Her library of air is now open.
Hold on to this, because the air in the cave is radically different from the air above ground. The only way to experience the Minotaur and the Paleolithical wisdom is to breathe her very deep and holy library of air.
Third, in my prayer, I call on Earth. Hello, Earth, beautiful Earth. Earth of substance, of growth, of tomb, of Our Lady, Mother Gaia herself. Thank you for the substance, growth, death, and return. Her library of Earth is now open.
Quite literally, the earth is going to open to welcome us into the Paleolithic caves. And finally, water.
Fourth, in my prayer, I call on water. Hello, water. Beautiful water. Water of life, of movement, of transformation. Our Lady, primordial love herself. Thank you for life, movement, transformation. Her library of water is now open.
Water is going to welcome you into the caves in a way you have never experienced water before. It's so beautiful that we are going to literally experience the four elements in the Paleolithic caves. So take a moment to see and feel and hear and know all four libraries, above ground and below ground, are open, alive, and in communication with you. Remember, the Draconis said the libraries of fire, air, earth, and water live in you, and you are granted permission to learn from them. We're going to accept that grant today and learn from them in their deepest, darkest, original home. Emma Kupu is with us today to help us activate the mysteries, the beauty of Remember Anointing Oil. Emma?
Yeah, thanks, Janet. So if you've got Remember or whichever oil you favor, I'm just going to activate this, and I like to put it on my fingers, all my fingertips. We'll take a breath together. I call upon the powers and spirits of Myrtle, the gatekeeper of the sacred threshold, to help me release blockages from other worlds and other times. I call upon the powers and spirits of Myrtle Lemon to bring clarity and vibrance to my mind, my body, and my life. I call upon the powers and spirits of Opoponics, Sweet Myrrh, to transmute and transform everything longing to be realigned on the path to the sacred. I call upon the powers and spirits of Iris to anchor the divine feminine in me, my body, my mystic family, and all my ancestral lineages. I call upon the powers and spirits of Tea to clear away indecision, stagnation, and worry about the past and the future, that I may dwell in beauty, wonder, and peace in this moment. I call upon the powers and spirits of Calendula, Mary's gold, to anchor me in the love, wisdom, strength, and beauty of the Magdalene. And I call upon the powers and spirits of grapeseed to hydrate, regenerate, and restructure all that is parched in me, that I may blossom into the fullness and beauty of the whole and holy witch I came here to be.
So lovely to hear that activation in your voice, because you received the formula from the voice of Mary Magdalene. We have a new voice today leading us in a magician's anointing spell, Henrietta.
Our Lady, Queen of Magicians, anoint me, all of me, that I may become the playful magician you made me to be and sing the song I came here to sing. Open my eyes, my raven eyes, that I may see who wants to be seen. But I am not seeing. I am being seen. Open my ears, my raven ears, that I may hear who wants to be heard. But I'm not hearing. I am being heard. Open my mind, my raven mind, that I may know what wants to be known. But I am not knowing. I am being known. Open my dreams, my raven dreams, that I may dream what wants to be dreamed. But I am not dreaming. I am being dreamt. Open my prayers, my raven prayers, that I may pray what wants to be prayed. But I am not praying. I am being prayed. Open my heart, my sacred heart, that I may love what wants to be loved. Oh, but I am not loving. I am being loved. Open my womb, my sacred womb, that I may birth what wants to be birthed. Oh, but I am not birthing. I am being birthed. Open my voice, my sacred voice, that I may speak what wants to be spoken. Oh, but I am not speaking. I am being spoken. Open my hands, my sacred hands, that I may write what wants to be written. Oh, but I am not writing. I am being written. Holy Mother, Queen of the living and the dead, pray me, dream me, sing me, anoint me until the fullness of the magician you know me to be, and guide me into the holy use of these, your most precious, which are gifts.
Take a breath as all of these holy words enter our bodies and activate our embers. White cardinal.
All right, so hold up your hands, and in your left hand, visualize the ember of fire and air. And in your right hand, you have the embers of earth and water, however they appear for you. And let's give them a quick little blow to activate them. And now placing the embers in your heart and in your womb or wherever on your body you feel called to put your hands. I am beginning to remember what I never forgot. We are beginning to remember what we never forgot.
The sentences at the end are really coming to life today in the Paleolithic caves. We really are. We have been prepared to remember what we never actually forgot. We complete our remembering ceremony by drinking water, taking it into our body at the cellular, solar, mystical, deepest, holiest level. And Henrietta.
Water is life. Water is alive. Water is conscious. Spirits move in water. Water holds and remembers all that has been spoken, all that has been prayed, all that has been seen, all that has been heard, all that has been felt by one and all in the theater of the miraculous.
So take that living consciousness into your body. It is impossible to intellectually comprehend the profundity of the prayers we have just spoken. But the water knows, and the water holds it, and now our bodies hold it too. Let us bring in the archangels. Lucy, you know she's pretty bossy, right? She's going to take over and read the entire prayer today. And Jeanne d'Arc is going to be welcomed into our company in Polish because Anna Maria is with us. Freddie, Lucy will then welcome all our oracles, and every single one of us will invite our personal goddess or goddesses into the circle. Lucy, Freddie?
Here, in the theater of the miraculous, all having been created from the same stardust source energy, we send our voices to you, Archangel Lucy. We ask you, Lucy, be here with us, bless us, and guide us on our journey. And we send our voices to you, Archangel Michael. We ask you, Michael, please bless us on our journey. Now is the time. We ask that you hold space for our co-creative power. And thank you for showing us who you really are, because now we remember who we really are. Thank you for connecting us to all it is. Now we joyfully experience the magical symphony vibrating with energetic life and radiant love. We thankfully stand in our sovereignty, own our powers, and birth the new world. Partner with us as we awaken, remember, and trust the memory of reverence and devotion. So it is. Let us begin.
So it is. Jeanne d'Arc's been waiting to be welcomed into the circle in Polish. Anna Maria?
Joanno Dark, kobieta pełna tajemnic. Joanno Dark, kobieto mojego serca. Słuchałaś swoich głosów, ja słucham swoich i wołasz mnie. Córko, podążaj dalej. Nie bój się, idę przed tobą. Ścieżka jest jasna, korona jest twoja. Joanna Dark, kobieto tajemnicy. Joanna Dark, kobieto mego serca. Daj mi odwagę, udziel mi łaskę, abym widziała to, co chce być widziane, usłyszeć to, co chce być usłyszane i zrobić to, co musi być zrobione. Joanno Dark, kobieto tajemnicy. Joanno Dark, królowo mojego serca.
Thank you, Anna Maria. So beautiful. And finally, Freddie, Iola, Lucy will welcome our oracles by name.
Aurora, the oracle of intuition.
And Aurora answers our call because the only way you can experience the caves is to have all of your intuition, subtle intuition, full body intuition, open and receptive.
Mystica, oracle of the thresholds.
And Mystica is thrilled to be here with us because we are going to cross the threshold between worlds, the world above ground and the world below ground.
Origina, the memory of prayer.
And Origina, you can see her. She's leading the way. You can see. She's saying, follow me into the spiral, all the way into the first spark of the origins of prayer.
Magdala, oracle of the sacrament of remembering.
Seeing as the Paleolithic caves are all about remembering, I think Magdala's already there. She's waiting for us. She's waiting for us below ground.
And Fortuna, the oracle of oracles.
You can see that she is of the deep, of the dark. I think like Magdala, Fortuna is already there. Who do you think taught the Paleolithic ancestors about the labyrinth? I think she was there.
And Eterna, her memory of life.
Eterna has been leading the way. Up, down, absolutely. She is the one. Have you been reading? Every single day you open email and there's new information about who she is and what she's made of and how big she is and how fast she's traveling. And the astronomers are just, they're just in a permanent state of orgasm trying to discover who this is. And to think she came to us. She came to Kathy the same day that humanity discovered her presence in the sky. It is Eterna who is leading us into the memory of life. And finally,
Chia, Oracle of the Garden.
one more mystery, one more oracle. We have no idea who Dragon is, what her name actually is. One more enormous mystery ahead. And so we also call on our goddesses. These are just a few of our members' goddesses, our shamanic goddesses. So call your own. Everybody's muted. Go ahead and call your personal goddess to welcome you at the threshold to the Paleolithic. And so we begin. This is our third immersion, and this one, we're headed into the Paleolithic caves. These two books have been our guides for the Seven Circuit Labyrinth. Sig's book on the left, Emma recommended it to me after she received her certification for the labyrinth. And Jody's, which dropped into my lap during ART4 when the strangest thing happened. I'm on a bunch of Labyrinth Facebook groups, and a woman in the Netherlands posted this cover. It was the first moment that I saw this cover. And she begged in capital letters for help. Help, help, I need to read this book. And it's out of print and I cannot find it. I popped on Amazon instantly, and lo and behold, there was one copy waiting for me. It arrived on my doorstep the very next day, 5 pages in. I yelled at Kathy, stop what you're doing and get this book. Everything about the labyrinth changed with those two books. Both focus on the meaning of the labyrinth around the myth of the Minotaur at the center. We have been walking this labyrinth for almost 3 years and have not, until today, talked about, thought about, or met the Minotaur at the center. We did not know it, but actually we have been being prepared for this immersion into the Paleolithic ever since Mary Magdalene handed us her red thread in ART4, Myrrh for Anointing. Little did we know that there would be a goddess connection, thread to thread to thread to thread, the red thread that reaches back, back, back before patriarchy, back even before the Myrrhophores. That thread has been preparing us for immersion into the ancient truth of real reverence and living ancient eternal devotion. So let us begin. Jody gives us a welcome to the Paleolithic and then the lair of the Minotaur. Listen closely. She writes, unlike the sunny poppy-strewn fields of Crete, which we adored, did we not? Unlike the sunny poppy-strewn fields of Crete, the Paleolithic world might well have been another planet, a frigid world, roaming with gigantic beasts, where human survival required a completely different set of cultural tools, some discovered for the very first time. Here is the birthplace of the labyrinth in human consciousness, the sacred enclosure of the shaman Minotaur. Notice, that's not my writing. That's not Kathy's writing. It was Jody as far as I can tell, the greatest expert on the birth of the labyrinth in the Paleolithic, she put in that slash. The shaman and the minotaur are one and the same. The winding depths of almost 300 caves where artists labored to commune with spirits. She also welcomes us to the lair of the minotaur. Listen carefully. At the heart of the legendary labyrinth dwells a beast, the minotaur, a liminal creature caught between worlds in the process of transformation. He's always male, having the head of a bull and the muscular body of a man. He is a creature of darkness, eternally imprisoned at the subterranean center. The minotaur is caught, belonging nowhere but here at the interface between life and death, a mythological metaphor of the raging animal urges of killing and consuming that we humans strive to contain. The minotaur of the center of the labyrinth is both what is sought and what is feared. The minotaur, in all his beauty and original shamanic powers, has returned to take us into a deep remembering of the reverence of the sacred masculine and devotion for the natural world, the way you and I and our ancestors lived for tens of thousands of years before patriarchy. But once patriarchy, with its angry, raping gods and obsession with war and domination, arrived with the Bronze Age, the Minotaur became the ultimate symbol of the demonic evil masculine that must be kept in a dark prison, fed bodies, and murdered. Ariadne, we're told, gives the thread. This is the patriarchal story. The story that everyone assumes is the story, that the Minotaur is a monster imprisoned at the center of a labyrinth under the palace in Crete. In that story, Ariadne, who it is very important to know was originally, before patriarchy, a Cretan goddess. But in the patriarchal story, she gives a ball of red thread to Theseus, who is the hero who has come to kill the monster. Just as Mary Magdalene invited us to take her red thread, the real Ariadne and the real Minotaur are now inviting us, inviting you, to take the red thread that carries us back to the original mysteries of reverence and devotion, which blossomed in the Upper Paleolithic 50,000 to 10,000 years ago. Go ahead, reach out, and take the end of the red thread. Get out your journal, colors, in particular, the Paleolithic colors of kind of a golden yellow, rusty orange, ochre red, lots of black, lots of water. Have water with you. And bring your wild, holy, morphic witch self. Nuthatch is reminding you, notice what you notice. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do this. We begin in Altamira in Spain. I'm going to read to you a little bit of what our beloved Jody Lorimer says about Altamira. And I'll show you a few pictures as we go. In 1878, a young father began to explore a cave on his property in Spain with his young daughter, Maria. While he excavated the floor for artifacts, she looked up and excitedly drew his attention to the bison she saw all over the ceiling, crying, "Look, Daddy, look, oxen!" He was thunderstruck. and convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that he and Maria had found a new, or rather, very old form of art. Feast your eyes on what Maria and Daddy saw, this very old art. Notice what you notice. Notice what you notice. Next, let's go to Chauvet. In France, spelunker Jean-Marie Chauvet and two of his friends were exploring the escarpment for caves that may house Paleolithic art, and they noticed a draft emerging from among the stones. They removed rocks until the opening was wide enough to enter. Inside, they found themselves poised on a ledge, and they lowered themselves into the dark with a rope. Chauvet and his fellow explorers descended into the most spectacular painted cave that has been found in modern times. As if under a fairy tale enchantment, where the substantial cliff face shimmers and gives way to a fantastical landscape, so the sunlit modern world evaporated as they entered an ancient, sparkling wonderland. The explorers were keenly sensitive about contaminating the environment and inadvertently destroying information, so they restricted their exploration to a minimum. They were very careful to walk in each other's footsteps so as not to disturb the floor. Later, they shared that they were, quote, seized by a strange feeling. Everything was so beautiful, fresh. Time was abolished. It was as if the tens of thousands of years that separated us from the producers of these paintings no longer existed. It seemed as if they had just created these masterpieces. Suddenly, we felt like intruders, deeply impressed. We were weighed down by the feeling that we were not alone. The artist's souls and spirits surrounded us. We thought we could feel their presence, and we were disturbing them. Jody then takes us to Lascaux. In the late summer of 1940, the famous caves of Lascaux were discovered by 4 boys and a dog named Robot. The earth had eroded around a fallen tree, exposing an inviting hole. Making it large enough, they slipped into the magnificent chambers of a Paleolithic painted cave. Their small lamp showed them stunning images of animals floating on the walls and ceilings. The existence of prehistoric humans who made this astonishing art totally jangled the bedrock assumptions of human history, calling into question the biblical construct of time itself. Who were these people who lived among gigantic beasts and conjured their images on the walls of labyrinthine caves? On a tour of Lascaux, Picasso famously expressed the opinion that no contemporary artist could paint like that. Picasso was obsessed with minotaurs. He painted dozens of them, and Jody writes that it was Picasso who understood who the Minotaur was, not this horrific, evil demon that must be murdered, but Dionysus, Bacchanalian, delicious, delightful, sexy, playing, wonderful Minotaur. He brought his understanding of the Minotaur to his masterpiece, Guernica, showing us, you want to see demonic, you want to see evil, you want to see what humans are capable of? They are capable of destroying an entire town. Guernica was bombed to oblivion in the Spanish Civil War. But notice the Minotaur, there he is, seeing not his evil, but the evil of fascism. Finally, we are going to visit Trois Frères, which is French for three brothers. In the cave of Trois Frères, a Minotaur dances at the center of an exuberant panel of animals, 30 of whom are bison. The bison played a very vital part in the spiritual life of Paleolithic people. Can you find him? The Minotaur. Keep looking. He is there. Here's a close-up to help you find him. Now, do you see him? A shaman in deep trance who tapped into bison energy, morphing into a composite being, half man, half bison. This is the man that could easily flow between the worlds. In Trois Frères, the famous dancing sorcerer figure is a composite of curved antlers, owl eyes, horses' tails, and man. This is the shaman who attempts to cross that ultimate border between life and death in the center of the labyrinthine vortex. This is the shaman who confronts the Paleolithic Minotaur. Jody reminds us that the shaman who attempts to cross that ultimate border between life and death in the center of the labyrinthine vortex must confront the Paleolithic Minotaur. Well, that's us today. We are putting on our shaman selves, and we are attempting to cross that ultimate border between life and death. We want to enter the center of the labyrinthine vortex where we must meet, confront, possibly befriend the Paleolithic Minotaur. What did the nuthatch point out to you? What wants to be noticed? Capture for a moment, in writing, in drawing, in words, in feelings. Capture what wants to be remembered from this brief dive into 4 Paleolithic caves. Notice what you see. Notice what shocks you, what surprises you. Notice the colors, the movement. Notice how you feel. Are you remembering something? Do these feel familiar? Strange? Holy? Do you remember being in any of those caves? Does your hand itch to carve, to cut, to paint? Did you and your friends dance with the bison, with the minotaur? Kathy and I have spent countless hours with the minotaur. When we got together one day, we both reported that the minotaur had invaded our dreams. We were learning from the minotaur himself in that liminal space. And we had to ask ourselves, who is the minotaur? We're pretty certain the minotaur is not who the patriarchal, creepy, horrible, murdering, awful story tells us he is. So who is he? Jody writes, this morphing of the personality of the minotaur is the nature of mythic consciousness. Moving backward in time from Picasso's multifaceted creatures through the supernatural Gothic devils of the Middle Age, all the way back to Crete, we are encountering a multiplicity of renderings. And one more step back into remote time, and we find yet another incarnation. The minotaurs of the Paleolithic are dancing, foot upraised, arms held out, amidst a vibrant swarm of animals. She asks us to really ponder the metamorphosis of this minotaur archetype. And she tells us that transforming from man to spirit animal and back again, an incarnation of potency. He is a conduit of spirit information. He is a shaman who has mastered the art of metamorphosis in the deep mysteries of the labyrinthine cave. This minotaur is no aberrant perversion of nature. That is such an important sentence, because all of our patriarchal religions have taught us that we are aberrant perversions of nature, that our bodies are evil, that we are sinners. The minotaur is not an aberrant perversion of nature, and neither are we. He is not a fearsome cannibal. In fact, he is exactly the opposite. The minotaur has merged with the animating forces of his world, the animal gods, the fount of life and power, and he has become a healer. He has become a healer. And if that's true for him, then that means he's asking you to remember that you are a shamanic healer. Kathy and I have sort of lived in a trance state ever since Jody's book came. And in preparation for today, we compiled as best we could what the Minotaur is helping us remember. See if the Minotaur is helping you remember some of these. Everything that's hidden, held in the shadows. Everything you are afraid of, afraid to remember, to know, to hear, to see, to speak. Is the Minotaur helping you remember your wounded self? Your wounded healer self? If you're wondering who your wounded healer self is, look at your natal chart, find Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. It turns out the Minotaur is an asteroid as well. Kathy and I have been reading our Minotaurs to one another, and it's only a group of 2 so far, but we're both stunned by the accuracy, the frightening accuracy of our Minotaur Chandras. The Minotaur, is he helping you remember your secret, powerful witch self? How about your animal, sexual, ecstatic self? Is he helping you remember your shaman self? That self capable of crisscrossing the threshold between worlds? He and all the Paleolithic artists are helping us remember the unknown and the unknowable. Isn't that what this eclipse is all about? The unknown, the unknowable. He is teaching us, they are teaching us this mystery that they needed to comprehend in the Paleolithic caves. What is death? What are the mysteries of life, death, and return? Are they helping you remember your morphic, mystic, shamanic abilities? That is why you're here in the witch sequence. Your morphic, mystic, witch, shamanic abilities. She asked us to heal the wasteland. Well, we cannot heal the wasteland without activating our morphic, mystic, shamanic capabilities. Kathy and I arrived at this conclusion. The Paleolithic artists knew, and now they're asking us to remember. You are the key. You are the key. This is the key that opens the locked door to original mystical shamanic wisdom. You are the key. If you're going to write down anything from this adventure, write this down. I am the key that opens the locked door to original mystical shamanic wisdom. I am a shaman. There has been a tremendous amount of information, wisdom, art, beauty, wonder, surprise in this short exploration of the mystic cave, the mythic Paleolithic caves. So why don't you take a couple minutes to talk to yourself, your shamanic self, your minotaur self, and jot down what you are beginning to remember that you never forgot about the Minotaur who is you. Let's write for a few moments of silence. well, how long we've been writing, because I started writing and kind of fell into a beautiful hole with the Minotaur. However long it's been, it's not long enough. I think for hours to come, days to come, weeks to come, years to come, we will be in a deep embrace with our beloved Minotaur. But for the moment, ask him for a kiss. Minotaur, kiss me. Let's take a totally silent, very, very short break. When you come back, make sure you have a rock you can hold in your hand, seed pattern to make a labyrinth. And Kathy and I are going to give you 2 opportunities to enter Ice Age Paleolithic caves. We've had a wonderful time experiencing, learning a bit about the Paleolithic caves and the Minotaur, but in a bizarre, like, how is this even possible? Kathy and I have both had the experience of being in Paleolithic, or in my case, an Ice Age bear cave. What are the chances, right? You're being prepared years and years and years ago. This is 13 years ago. And today it has such deep meaning, and its meaning I'd like to share with you. So, in July of 2012, I took a small group of Deep Soul writers to the Blacktail Ranch in Montana. Here are just a few. I mean, look. Oh, they say it's big sky country. Oh my goddess. And that's where we stayed. There I am in my little log cabin. It was just the most delicious experience. And oh, did we have adventures? It's a horse ranch, so we had to learn to walk with a horse, lead the horse, get on the horse until we could finally go on this little trail. And on the right-hand side, top right, it's hard to tell what that is, but on this property that this particular family has had for several generations, it is Blackfeet land, and the Blackfeet were in Montana and still are in Montana for 18,000 years. 18,000 years. Think about the dates on those Paleolithic caves. The Blackfeet have been on this gorgeous land that we now have the audacity to call a United States state, Montana. And what you see there are a few of us walking around what the ranch people called a sun wheel. You or I would call it a medicine wheel. It was the entire side of a hill. It was absolutely massive. I couldn't show you a picture of the entire thing. And they don't take people out there, but they took us because we weren't just interested in the horse part and the river part. You see us on the lower left. We're on the Mississippi River. What you can't see is there were eagles on the cliffs with us at all times. So they took us to the sun wheel, and we very reverently took turns walking all of the directions. And then in the bottom right, you can see the woman in the middle in the long white dress. She was trained in the Cree tradition, and we had a sweat lodge. We had a very powerful, very real sweat lodge. So the Blacktail people, upon seeing that we were really into the sweat lodge and the sun wheel, they said, well, would you like to go in the cave? Sure. So they just threw us on the back of these dirty old ranch trucks and drove us out to this bear cave. And I think there were 13 of us in the group. When we saw that you have to go down this 40-foot ladder and it's rickety, I think 4 or 5 went, that's okay. That's okay. We'll stay up here. We'll see you when you come back out. That's Mariano and Maggie, a married couple that came on the trip. So of course, I've never been in a cave, but sure. So I go down this rickety ladder, and as you're going down the ladder, you see how the rock up above that you can't quite see in the picture, it's like curved, there's an arch. Well, there are petroglyphs on that arch. And notice the color. This is that rusty orange, rusty red color that it would appear all Paleolithic people used. So down we go. This is not my group, but it's a picture from the Black Tail website. And I wanted to show it to you because, okay, you get down this rickety ladder and now you can see the woman with the ponytail. She's going to have to crouch down to get into that first arch. What you can't quite see is now to actually get in, you got to get down on your bum, lean back, and slide on this wet rock, and you're finally inside the cave. I have just a few pictures of walking around in the cave. We didn't see petroglyphs on the inside or Paleolithic paintings like Lascaux. And I can't even tell you I don't even remember that they told us what the rocks were made out of. But these are not limestone stalactites and stalagmites like Jody talked about in some of the caves and that you'll see in Kathy's cave. And they just let us wander around. There were no walkways, no guardrails, no nothing. And they brought us at one point to a cavern, an opening space. And although this is a copy, they were smart enough to get the original sacred buffalo bison carving out of the cave for fear that someone would steal it. They did replicate it. So this is how they found it. It was found by a 10-year-old boy. Remember the boys that dropped down into one of the caves? Tag, we met him. He was in his 70s then, so he'd be in his 80s now. He was a 10-year-old boy. What do 10-year-old boys do? They wander around the property. It's a huge property, and he's finding all kinds of Native American artifacts and cowboy stuff. And they found this dinky little hole. You know what boys are going to do. They made the hole a little bigger. Tag said, hey, give me a rope. Drop me down. And they found this cave. And this is Herb. He was our one and only guy with us. You can see on the right-hand side, the thing is lit with a couple of light bulbs. That's it. And you can see us sort of walking around. And he just let us wander. This picture isn't mine. It's from, once again, their website, but you can get the feel that at some point we were in this massive, massive cavern. This picture isn't from that cave, but you get a sense of like, whoa, okay. When you're in one of these caves, usually, invariably, you end up in some massive opening. So this is an opening in the Blackfeet Cave. I don't think it's the one we found, but you can see those big rocks. So what happened is we were following her, we're walking around, and at some point we're in this massive cavern, and one of the walls, it really looked like it had been tiered, built like an amphitheater. And Gail, the woman who found this place for me, she said, hey, everybody, this was not planned. Why don't we crawl up on these rocks, find a spot to sit? So I don't know if you can see my cursor, but you could sit there, you could sit there, you could sit there. I found a more comfortable rock than this, so I don't think this was the wall we were on, but you get a sense for it. So we crawl up on the rock, and then Gail says to Herb, our one and only guy, she says, Herb, would you go back outside and turn the lights off and leave us in the dark for 10 minutes? Herb said, sure. So He walks back out. The lights went off. Now, this is a picture I found online. It's not my cave. And obviously, in order to see something, there has to be a tiny little bit of light. But this was presented as a picture of, just with one little, like a camera light, a picture of a cave. But in truth, it was black, 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 black. So I'm sitting on my little stone. The lights go out. And I think you would do what I did. Your eyes are still open. And I did this thing, you know how they say you couldn't see I'm sorry, nothing. It's just black. And we're going to be there for 10 minutes. So I had my eyes open and I noticed that everything was different, in complete blackness with my eyes open. I suddenly could hear the rocks breathing. I had never noticed that when we were walking around. I could hear the rocks breathing. And I realized I was breathing in their breath. And so I just took a moment to breathe in rock breath. I could hear the rocks moving, creaking, and I felt like they were talking. They were talking to one another. They were probably saying, hey, look at this group. These funny little noises. And suddenly I could hear water. We didn't see any water when we were walking around. I could hear water over there. Wait, water, dripping, moving, flowing, water, water, water. My senses were, and keep in mind, this is years before ART1, where we activated full body intuition. I was being prepared for ART1 and full body intuition. I was seeing what my eyes did not see and hearing beyond normal hearing, smelling, breathing the air. And then I don't know why, I cannot tell you why, but I closed my eyes, which you could say is pretty stupid. I mean, you're in complete blackness. Why would you close your eyes, Janet? I don't know why I did it, but boy, am I glad I did, because everything changed. It is completely different to sit in the dark with your eyes open, with your senses reaching out to see and smell and hear and feel, and then closing your eyes. And with my eyes closed, my attention came in. And now I wasn't hearing and smelling and seeing. I was in here. I was in here. And I, totally unprepared for this, but I just did it. I said to the rocks, do you have a message for me? Do you have a message for me? And the rocks did. The rocks answered. And the rocks said, and they didn't say it out here in my ears, and I didn't have a journal, so they weren't saying it through my hands. This was the first time in my life I had the experience of hearing, and it was right behind my breastbone, which I learned from Emma years later in an intensive we did, is your thymus. I was hearing in my thymus. And the rocks said, I am old, you are old. Now I was 66 at the time, and these were glacial ice age rocks. Pick a million. How many million years old were they? And there was a part of me that almost wanted to laugh. Excuse me, boys and girls. let's pick a number, 13 million years old, and I'm 66. But just as I had learned not to argue with the voice on the page or the voice when she speaks to me outside my ears, I didn't argue. I stayed silent. I kept that little silliness to myself. And they continued to say, I am old. You are old. I am old. You are old. I am old. You are old. And they said it, and they said it, and they said it until I realized I was the one speaking. I was saying to the rocks, I am old. You are old. And that was the moment. That was the single most profound mystical experience of my life. In that moment, despite the fact that I'd been writing books with the word soul in the title, that was the moment that I realized I knew nothing about the truth, which is that I am a soul. I am an eternal being. I am as old as the rocks. I may even be older than the rocks. Say this with me. I am old. You are old. I am old. You are old. I am old. You are old. After 10 minutes, the lights came back on. And I couldn't move. I had to be helped down off the rocks. I had to be led out of the cave. I could not stand up. I crawled, and you can see some of my friends there. In order to get out, you do have to get down on your knees. But I had been on my knees the entire time. And this is me in the orange jacket. I could not get up. I could not stand. And so Maggie and Mariano to the rescue. He took my foot. First, he put my hand on something to hang on to here, and then foot by foot by foot, he would move my foot up to the next rung and then push me up, and then the next rung, and push me up, and the next rung, and push me up. And the people that came out ahead of me kind of pulled me up when we got to the top. I am old, you are old. The most profound experience of my life. So now it's your turn. We're going into the rocks. We're going into the cave. Get your rock that I asked you to bring that you can hold in your hand. Get your journal. If you'd like, I know you can't really create full blackness, but if you want to turn the lights off, go ahead. And simply imagine dropping into a cave. There you are. You're sitting in the cavern of a cave. You're safe. You're on a rock tier. And your guides have turned the lights off. In order to experience that, take your two palms, and I do have a picture of this if you want to see it, but just listen to me. Take your two palms and put them over your eyes. It's pretty dark now. If you really have your right hand over your right eye and your left hand over your left eye, pushing up against your nose, it's dark in here. Now, in order to experience what I experienced, open your eyes behind your hands. Try to make it as dark as you can. A little bit of light will probably sneak in. Close your eyes, nice and dark. Open your eyes behind your hands. Close your eyes and notice what you notice. What do you hear? What do you see? What do you feel? Now open your eyes behind your hands. Is it any different? What do you see? What do you hear? Now close your eyes. Close your eyes. Take your attention inward. Maybe it goes to your thymus, maybe it goes to your stomach, maybe it goes to your gut, maybe it goes to your feet. Take your attention wherever it wants to go and ask the question. Oh, I forgot to tell you to hold your rock. Minor detail. Sorry. Oh, wait a minute. Now, you've covered your eyes with two hands. Now, in order to have a free hand to hold your rock, you're going to have to cover your eyes with one hand. You can do it. Now take the rock and put it where your body wants it to be. Your neck, your heart, your thymus, your gut. And ask the rock, do you have a message for me? Do you have a message for me? Keep your eyes closed. Do you have a message for me? And listen. I won't leave you in the dark for 10 minutes, but now that you know the story, you might consider doing this at night with a sleep mask on, a towel over your face. Give yourself some real darkness. Hold a rock and ask the rock, do you have a message for me? But even now, after this brief time, if you'd like to open your eyes and jot down what you heard, what you felt, what you saw, did the rock speak? Did they have a message for you? This is an experience you can replicate and repeat. And now that we know about the libraries, just think, you could ask water, do you have a message for me? You could ask the air, right? You could ask fire, do you have a message for me? Because the libraries are open. Take a sip of water. The adventure continues. The adventure continues. with Kathy, who is going to take us with her as she enters a Paleolithic cave in Spain 2 summers ago. Kathy?
I was lucky enough to, on a whim, because of my nephew, Brad, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Ended up in this Pileta cave. Pileta means pools. And yes, there are pools. So just to get you situated, this is Spain. Here's Africa, the Strait of Gibraltar. So we're in southern Spain, just a small bit inland, but it's mountainous and it's hot and it's dry. This is a gem of the caves because it's not well known. Zooming in now, you can see how it's getting more and more dry. You can see the ridge line here. It's not easy to get to because even after parking, there's quite a hike to get up here. And you can see it's mostly rocky with some kind of scrubby greens. Here we are. The entrance to the cave is right behind in this picture. You can see we're up in the mountains. Here's the door. If it looks small, it's because it is small. You can't just walk through there. They have this iron door. It's kind of built into the rocks because they kept this pretty pristine. There aren't lights inside. And the family knew that it was quite a treasure. So it's locked. They had a family dog who would hang out and watch it and bark if people came, because the cave has so many beautiful pieces of art. The reputation spread. It was discovered in the early 1900s. So you can see where we're going. This is just the side of the mountain, and they called it the pothole of the bats. This cave was discovered at another entrance higher up by a man who needed to fertilize his crops, and he used to see bats coming in and out. So he thought, oh, I'm going to go get some bat guano for my crops. And he had to drop down a 30-meter portal before he got to the bottom. And they discovered room by room from that side toward here, and then this is like the back door. Now it's the front door. You can see as soon as you come inside, it's dark. There are only these handheld battery lights, and they gave every other person a flashlight. I didn't have a light because I needed my hands to be able to keep myself upright. The lights disturb the bats and the other creatures. There's a kind of a raven who also comes in and out of the caves. So they know that when the bats are still there, that there hasn't been too much light or noise or disruption. This is really a maze of passageways that they call the labyrinth. It kind of looks like a straight shot, but it's not as you walk through because there are formations. So you are taking twists and turns. hairpin turns to go around the formations inside. So by the time we got to the end, which took quite a while, you have no idea. I didn't know if we were going up generally or down. The places inside are called the cemetery, the rook, the cathedral, the chamber of the castle, the cave of the letters, and these different rooms, I'll call them, because it's like you walk into a big, big room and then you go into the tunnel and it gets small and then it gets big again. Some are, so imagine 50 meters long by 10 meters wide. That's, much bigger than my house, 4,500 square feet. Some of the ceilings are 50 meters high inside this mountain. Access was gained by this one man, this farmer, and he used a hammer and some chisels over time to create more sure footing for himself. And he made a few steps in and out so that it would be less dangerous. He worked every evening after dinner, and this person here was our guide, and that was his dad. And they talked about how the dad was obsessed with it, and he didn't sleep much because he had to work all day, and then he would come home, eat dinner, and then head back out to the caves. And at first, of course, he had to use a rope to make sure that he didn't get lost in there. Here are some of the steps that he put in. They realized that they could date some of the formations because as he chipped away, there are stripes, black and white, from the different minerals flowing down, and that made it easier for them to figure out how old everything is. You can see that this is the drippy stalactite, stalagmite kind of cave, and it's wet, and the limestone is smooth and slippery. It also really looks alive. These are organic shapes. They look like people, creatures, and it's never this bright in there when you have an every other person flashlight. You can see the different colors here from the minerals. Here's one of the pools. And you get a kind of get a sense here how pitch black it gets beyond the light. So when we were in there, there weren't, they did this to take pictures. We were not allowed to even take our phone out to take care of the bats. And your flashlight would only go a certain distance, and then the light stops if there's nothing to hit it. So it's weird in these giant big black spaces, your light doesn't hit the other wall sometimes. You can see some of the yellow color. We'll talk about that, about the drawings. This is more red and white. There's the orange color. Just for scale and height, we were constantly up and down. You see the little man down there. And another pool, beautiful reflections from our flashlights on the walls, off of the water that's moving a little bit. So you can hear water, you can hear movement, the shifting of the bats. There were stairs in some places as we were walking, the shadows behind the formations move. So everything starts to feel very alive. I felt like I was in the company of many different creatures. This is one of the most famous drawings in the Pileta Cave. This is over 7 feet wide, this fish. Remember the context, because we're in that Strait of Gibraltar. These are people who have come from all different parts of the world, and they're just like on Crete. These are fishermen. This is a close-up of some of the lines next to that fish. Here he is. They think that this is one of the older drawings in this cave. Geometric shapes. They're not sure what this means. This is a carving. Cave art was created in different ways. People had tools made of rocks and would engrave into the limestone. So they would find a rock that's harder than the limestone and carve into it. Sometimes they did both. You can see here the incredible details. This one is using carving. You can see the nose. They used the cracks in the rocks to create the animal's jaw. And, you know, look at all these carvings. They're, it just goes on and on. If you can get up close. They also used, this is one that Janet showed, they used the contour of the wall to create the forms of the animals. People who really have looked at these creatures so that they can draw such sensitive lines. Here is our beloved snake. So the different colors that were used. The orange, the red, let's see, how does it go? This orange yellow is, and there's one, that's the oldest. And then it goes to red. And then the newest drawings were made out of black, and that came from the charcoal of torches. You can see it has a very different quality. They would take their rock and turn another rock of this color. We saw the orange of the shapes coming down. They would make powder and then rub it into the rocks with both the red, the yellow, and the orange. They would also use their hands as a stencil, put some of the powder in a reed, put their hand up and blow the powder around where their fingers are, so you get those the hand prints, right? Different colors. Beautiful. The hands are smaller. We know that people from back then were smaller than we are now. This is a pregnant mare. She's very famous from this cave. There she is, head on. A lot of them were drawn at funny angles, so you don't get to see it like this. You see it by craning your neck and scooting around the edge and looking up or looking down. This is the one that really was my favorite and got my attention. I didn't have the Spanish language, but my nephew was translating with our guide, and I needed to know what this was, and I thought maybe it was a bird, and he said no. This was on the exterior of the innermost chamber that we went, called the cathedral. And he said, this is the shaman, because this is where the ceremonies happened, in this cave. So this is part of the cathedral, a huge open space with these walls that look like folded rock. The folds go from floor to ceiling. They're about 40 feet top to bottom. It looked to me like a giant skirt with fabric coming down. They are like pipes on an organ, because all you have to do is place your hand, because of the acoustics and how big it is. There's air inside these folds. All you have to do is place your hand and you can hear it somewhere. It comes from the ceiling. So here is the place where they had us turn off our lights. Some people were very uncomfortable, and always had to be making noise. And he finally let everybody settle. And then he would just place his hand to show the resonance inside this room. And then he hit it in different ways, and the different folds, you could feel it in your body. It was, my body is dying to go back there and do it again. It was so surreal, and a really such a physical sensation, because like when we palmed our eyes, your senses turn on because it's so black. So after we did that, I just wanted to stay, but he wouldn't let me. And then we had to turn around and go out to my, I was alarmed at that point because it was so hard getting there. I thought we were going to come out I don't know what I thought. But we had to turn around and come back. And so this is our coming back out that same hole. It's like coming out of a movie theater where your eyes have adjusted to so much dark, and it's really, really bright on the way back out into the sunshine of Spain. So thank you for coming with me into the Pileta Cave in Spain. We're going to draw a labyrinth. So grab your journal. When you make your entrance, this first, make it curve, make it more like a bulb, because we're gonna do a little journey. So make yourself a place that holds our sacred well on the inside here. Purple goes to the top of the green L. The purple dot goes around to the bottom of the green angle. The bottom of the purple angle joins with the right side of the blue horizontal. The left side of the blue horizontal joins with the top of the chartreuse. The top of the orange all the way around joins with the chartreuse dot, and then the orange dot all the way up and around to the bottom of the chartreuse angle, and then create our entrance way. The bottom of the orange all the way up and around joins with the bottom of the blue vertical line. So we are going to walk this labyrinth together. You have your rock nearby, you have your journal nearby. You have the things that occurred to you while you were inside the cave with both Janet and I. You've got your labyrinth. So get yourself comfortable in the dark if you have it. Put your labyrinth under your left hand. You could sit on your labyrinth. You could put it on your chest. I invite you now to close your eyes if it's comfortable. And we are going to walk to the center of our labyrinth together. So we approach the entranceway, and Grandmother Spider, she greets you. She's glad that you have arrived today. She's wrapped in her fibers of her making. They reflect a kaleidoscope of colors, reflecting colors from the light of the moon. We watch these fibers as they shimmer, brighter and fading. And because the eclipse is happening now, these shimmering fibers, the earth is moving in front of the moon, blocking that light. And we are in the dark. We're experiencing this eclipse together. The dark enters us. We are that eclipse. We are in the dark. Grandmother Spider, she's been humming a tune. Can you feel her hum? Do you know her tune? You feel her humming in your body. And she gestures for you to please take up your part of the harmony, humming with her on the outside of our labyrinth. And she asks you, why are you here, child? Why are you here? And she says, to reach the central chamber of this labyrinth on such a dark night like this, you will need my help. And she hands you the end of her red thread and says, child, you cannot lose your way. I am always overseeing your journey. Hold on to this. Hum with me. This connects us. Feel me with you. And so you begin your walk. Our ancient standing stones at the labyrinth entrance, reaching out one hand, always holding on to your thread. You feel the carved spirals, the swirls, the symbols in those giant rocks carved by you then, carved by you then for you now. And we walk into the labyrinth and take a turn to the left. You are safe. Your feet know this circulatory system of her, winding and walking. What is under your precious toes in this, your labyrinth? Walking and gently turning back to go the other way, around the curves, humming with Grandmother Spider, holding your red thread. And we're walking the great arc of the outer layer of the labyrinth. What are you hearing? She is humming and she's breathing. The respiration of the earth is obvious inside this labyrinthine cave. Your breathing comes in sync with the breath of the earth. What do you hear? Echoes are arriving from other lands. They carry their mysteries to your heart. Walking the labyrinth path, a hairpin turn is made at crackling embers, the fire. The fire keepers are always in their devotion, always breathing life into the fire. Can you smell the smoke of the ages? Smoke, an alchemical gift from the magician. The scent of smoke, it stays in your clothes, it stays in your hair. As you walk, now curving to the right, now what do you hear? One of the many reflective pools is there up ahead. You know it by heart. Your body knows it. You stop at the pool, you squat, you rinse your hands, you rinse your face. This precious water made its way here through the cave system. A living, breathing, living body of her, the earth. And we walk, our steps, our feet, our paws, our wings, knowing all time is now. What do you detect inside these tunnels? Can you hear your sister bats, your brother birds? Are there beloved creatures inside your labyrinth cave? Humming and carrying the red thread, walking. This is your time, prayer, song, celebration. Your imaginal eyes are wide open, and you're seeing nothing in the physical, but you're knowing everything in the mystical. Receiving and walking and humming, carrying our thread, we gather at the center of the labyrinth, the endless, deepest well of the freshest, magical water. You take your seat on your rock here in the cathedral. Your rock, your earth, your sanctuary. She holds you, she cradles you, she breathes with you. Your imaginal eyes, you open them wide and you glimpse your reflection in the water. And you notice, looking back up at you from the water, there is your shaman self, your animal head, your creature eyes. Do you have horns? And there, fur. You know this side of yourself. He has been lost. He has been cast aside. You are the key. He has been maligned. He has been misnamed. This creature, perfection. You, perfection. The divine masculine at last. You are the key. His strength, his caring, his power, and his gentleness, his fury, his joy, all comes together in you. You are the key. You remember and breathe with her and remember and merge with him and breathe and remember. You close your imaginal eyes. And then you open your imaginal eyes, peering into the water, looking at each other. This creature asks, "Who are you?" And you ask, "Who are you?" You close your eyes and you spread your imaginal arms and you offer safety to him. You open your imaginal eyes and he looks back, unsure, a bit reluctant, and you start to breathe together, coming into the same slow vibration. You nod your welcome. You are the key. I am the key. You blink your invitation. You summon your masculine. Closing your imaginal eyes, you know what this means. The wholeness you knew is now. The wholeness you know is now. I am shaman. I see in the dark. This breath, your breath, our breath, the vibrations of one is complete. Inhaling a warmth, his power, you feel it in your body to the core. Home, him, home, her, home. Opening your imaginal eyes because you wonder, can I see in the dark? Your lashes blink their knowing. Your heart beats its knowing. Your spirit, filled with love, illuminates your cathedral. Together we stand and bow and stretch in our new and ancient form. I am home. I know union. I know love. And you exhale this knowing, radiating love. You emit light. And we turn. Time to head back out, following with the red thread in your hand, outward into our luminous life, humming with Grandmother Spider. Her hum louder and louder calls to you, breathing and walking, carrying, being your divine masculine, no longer in the sidelines, but inside you, your reflection of home. Her hum is louder, walking and breathing. You are gratitude on legs and fins and feathers. Her hum And you reach the exit of the labyrinthine cave, satisfied, excited, utterly alive and bright. Grandmother Spider, she receives the end of your thread, her thread. You thank her, and you are back. You're near your computer. You wiggle your fingers and your toes. And now we write. We've been writing for just a few minutes. Jot down questions or phrases of any revelations or ideas that you would like to revisit later in your deep soul writing. Find that place inside you where you welcomed the Minotaur and ask him, what do you want me to remember? What do you want me to remember right now? Do you have a kiss for me?
You can see that the Minotaur is very busy kissing. We're all covered with Minotaur kisses. What more could a person want? So I just have to show this to you, and then we'll have a message from Lucy and our closing prayer. There won't be a watch party for this event next Tuesday because I'll be packing and leaving the next day for the wedding. The Library of Air, our third journey, will be on Thursday. Kathy hosts it. Kathy can open my journey Zoom. And I will not be here for the Witch Cafe, but Kathy will host the cafe on her dragon. So what I will do is tomorrow send an email reminding everybody of all the Zooms, because you're not going to get group emails from me while I'm gone. I leave first thing Wednesday morning and come home next Monday. So, Freddie, has Lucy, does she have anything she wants to tell us about this adventure in the Paleolithic?
Yes, she does. And I'm kind of trying to recover from the walk.
I know.
She said before the walk, I guess she knew, yeah, she's shaking her head. She knew I would be this, whatever. Quote, like Grandmother Spider, I am always holding you, all of you, walking with you. You are always safe.
And on that note of safety, we complete day 35. And we all step out in love as we awaken, remember, and trust the memory, the sacred, beautiful, ecstatic memory of reverence, and real devotion. And I think we understand this now, especially with the Minotaur. We're not awakening, the Minotaur is awakening us. We're not remembering. The Paleolithic ancestors and shamans are remembering us. We are being remembered back into that sacred, original, ecstatic, feminine and masculine safety. And I can feel, can't you feel the Paleolithic artists? They're trusting us. They're trusting us to wake up, to get it, and to heal the wasteland. Now, I know we didn't have time to share. This was such a deep, intense, every minute and more filled. So bring your stories and your experiences and your questions and your kisses to the Facebook group. Freddie, you have something more you want to say? Freddie? I see your hand up.
Reach out, and she's saying, reach out and hold my hand.
Yes, ma'am. We're holding. Can we have Lucy on one hand and the Minotaur in the other?
And I'm saying to you, go in peace and be safe.
Thank you, we will. And so we complete this glorious time together with Nicole, leading us in the blessing of Isis.
The blessing of Isis go with you, Queen of stars, Mother of grain, she whose tears are the rain, she whose embrace is the sky. Her wings of protection enfold you, her breast be your place of rest. Her river with you wherever you wander, her river to guide you home.